Hello there folks, and welcome back to another speed paint video. This one's going to be a little bit different from my others. Usually you hear me commentate about the things I'm currently drawing, but today is going to be a very special video indeed. Today we're going to be doing a Q&A for a subscriber special. How many subscribers? Well, however many it is by the time I'm posting. I thought this was going to be a 500 subscriber special, but as soon as I had that thought and started writing in a script or something, I got over 600, so I'm very happy to have the surprise of lots of you being here. Thank you all so much for joining my little community over here. I'm very happy to have you. I'm very excited to have new people coming to enjoy my art and more people to talk about art with. So today, I'm hosting a Q&A where I'm answering some questions from my subscribers and my followers on my different platforms, and talking about my art process, and just random things about myself for fun, as a bit of a celebration for all the new people that have shown up, so you guys can get to know me, and I can have fun interacting with you guys. The time lapses you're going to see in the background are going to be from recent cloud-themed wallpapers that I've been doing on my Ko-fi page. I have the link to my Ko-fi page in the description if you're interested in buying any of those, because I had a lot of fun drawing them, and you can see the process for them. I've really been in a cloud kick lately, so I'm very excited to show those processes and talk about the various questions you guys have. So, without further ado, let's get into the speed paint. Alright, the first question that I will answer is one that I've gotten asked by a bunch of different people, and it is, what kind of moth is my character, and is my character the Mothman? The answer to that is my little character that I use here, as I call them the Zothman, Zoe Mothman. That is just a Mothman. They're not really a specific species of moth in particular. They're more just like based on the general shape that I draw my Mothmans in a lot of the time. Back during a project in college, I actually did a study of the way that different Mothman witnesses have drawn the Mothman, and I kind of combined them all into one cohesive design. And that's where I get my stylized take on the Mothman and all my different art that I do nowadays. So while I've been obsessed with the Mothman for a long time, ever since college, the Mothman has made a very frequent appearance in my art. I mean, you can see it in my logo, you can see it right there on the channel. And so I thought it would be fun to represent myself with a Mothman. This design for the so-called Zothman is actually originally from a webcomic I used to do called Moth Friends, where I drew me and my friends with different Mothmans with different color palettes, and it was a lot of fun. I probably should do it again, but at some point I just gotta find time in my schedule to sit down and make some more of these, because I did have fun with them. They're very cute, and I would like to get back into the Moth Friends. But that's where this design comes from. It's originally from a slice of life webcomic, based on my way that I draw Mothman, and now it's become something of, well, as my files on my computer call it, this is my PNG tuber, so I guess that's what the official name is. But yes, I am not a specific moth here, I am just the Mothman, and that's the design. Another question I got was if I have any favorite animals. That's a great question. It's so hard for me to choose. I work at a bug museum called Insectropolis, so I'm often asked what my favorite bugs are, and just like with most things, I can never answer something is my favorite, really. It's very hard for me to pick a favorite thing, but there are bunches of things that definitely come to the top. As far as animals go, I am obviously a big fan of moths, but also spiders, as you can tell by my username. I especially like orb weavers and tarantulas. I think they're just very charming. Jumping spiders are also super cute. You can see why they're so popular. I really like isopods a lot. I think they're super cute. I think millipedes are just so adorable. One of my favorite bugs would have to be the horseshoe crab, probably my favorite ocean-dwelling bug next to the giant sea isopod. And those guys are super cool. Some other animals that I really like. Local birds, I really like the northern mockingbird. It's really cute. Blue jays are a classic for a reason. They are quite pretty little animals who are very sassy. I mean, I like dogs. Dogs are super cute. My favorite breed of dog being the Westie, because I grew up with one. Well, actually two. I grew up with two Westies, so I basically had them my whole life growing up. And they're just so cute. I love Westies so much. Another animal I really like is, of course, the one that I currently have, which is a ball python, which, if you don't already know, ball pythons are self-domesticated, so as far as personality goes, they're kind of similar to cats, but I don't know, they're a little bit cuddlier, I guess. I don't know, I think it's just because we're warm and they like to hang out where we are because we are warm. my ball python Gilbert, I'll try to include some like pictures of him here. He is a real sweetheart. Ball pythons truly, in my opinion, have the cutest face of any reptile, so I really like them. Another animal I really like is a betta fish. My very first personal pet was a betta fish named Pisces. I'll see if I can include a picture of him here. He was awesome. He was already an adult when I got him, and then I had him for like 5 years, so he must have been pretty old by the time he passed away, and he was awesome. He loved to sit down. That was one of his hobbies. When he was done running around for the day, he would sit down on his favorite leaf, and it was so funny. He looked like such like a little sassy queen. I really loved that little guy. Pisces was truly the GOAT. And another question I got was, what program do I use to draw? So nowadays I use Clip Studio Paint. Clip Studio Paint is, I've used many art programs over my time doing digital art for, at this point, like 11 years. And some that I would recommend would be like, I think another one I would recommend would be like Leaping Fae or Krita. Those are both really good. I used to use Photoshop for a long time, and Photoshop's great when you get to know it, but there's better options. Back in the day, like, there really didn't used to be very many good paint programs digitally, but nowadays, like, people make stuff for Illustrator specifically. Not you, Adobe Illustrator. You're not for illustrators, you are for graphic designers. I do not know why they named it that. But anyway, I use Clip Studio Paint. It is very lovely. One of my favorite features in Clip Studio Paint is the vector lines, which you might see me use a lot in my speed paints, especially in my character design videos where you see me doing lots of line art. There's a really cool feature in Clip Studio where you make the vector layer, and so you have a special eraser that will erase everything up to an intersection. So it's a really good way to make nice, clean line art very easily and very quickly. And as someone who typically tries to do everything in one sitting whenever I'm working and works very fast, it is very nice to have a way to clean up line art very efficiently. Also, Clip Studio Paint has this wonderful free asset store that you can access when you get the program. It has all sorts of cool user-generated things like gradient maps and brushes and textures and 3D models that you can use for posing and arranging a composition and then using as reference. Like, Clip Studio Paint is actually a very powerful tool, and people use it all the time for things like webcomics or manga and things like that as well. It's got very powerful tools for that, like built-in speech bubble tools and panels and stuff that I have barely even utilized. I really mostly just use it for straight up illustration, but Clip Studio Paint is awesome. There are a lot of great sources to help you out with it. It's got so many awesome, like, tools, and I just love using it. It's definitely, like, my favorite of any art program that I've used. Some other ones that I would recommend, though, would be Medibang Paint / Fire Alpaca. Those are both really good. I used to use those a lot when I was in high school. I love the feel of the brushes in there. They feel very nice and smooth. Krita is also very good, but when I used to use it as a teenager, it was just too powerful for my computer to keep up with, and it was very laggy, which is why I stopped using it. But Krita is free, and so is Medibang Paint and Fire Alpaca. So if you're looking for something that is free and very powerful, I would say Krita is a really good option. I just couldn't use it at the time that I was using it, and nowadays I'm just very comfortable with Clip Studio. By the way, I draw using a Wacom Intuos tablet, by the way. A long time ago, as a teenager, I thought I might want to graduate to something like a Cintiq or something with a screen, but honestly, I really like drawing with a tablet that doesn't have a screen on it, because I like not having my hand in the way when I'm working. Honestly, it makes going back to drawing with a sketchbook or painting very weird, because it's like, my hand is in the way. I want to be able to see the whole canvas. So it's really a nice feature. When you get a tablet for doing digital art, it is very important for you to consider, don't just buy one that's more expensive because you think it's automatically better. Get something that has features you will actually use. If you're someone who uses a lot of shortcuts directly on the tablet, getting something that has things like that would be very good. If you're someone who likes to see where you're drawing on the canvas, you want to have your pen right there. That's something like a Cintiq or another screen-having tablet would be really good for you then. I know iPads are very popular, people use Procreate very commonly. I've tried it before, I just find iPads to be a little bit too slippery in my experience, so I've been using the same poor little Intuos drawing tablet ever since I was 14. And that thing's been serving me well. It's been very good. I can't believe it's lived all this time. I've had to replace the wire for it many times though. That is really the only complaint, is that with enough use, the wire will die and you'll have to get a new one every year and a half or so, but That's not bad at all. That's like maybe a $10 expense. So I highly recommend like Wacom tablets because, at least in my experience, the one that I have has lasted me a very long time. And it goes really well with the process that I do. The one that I use is like a cheaper one because it doesn't have a screen, but that works out because I like to not have my hand in the way. So if you're someone like me who likes to do that, don't feel pressured to like get something with a screen because it has more features. If you prefer not having your hand in the way, then stay with where you are, and that's totally fine. Like, I'm having a great time with my thing. I don't think I ever want to upgrade my tablet, to be honest. I only will if the one that I currently have, like, completely explodes or something. So, yeah, I use Clip Studio Paint and an Intuos tablet in order to draw. And I'll go into more depth with each piece that I do on my channel in general, but there's a lot of features in Clip Studio Paint that are just really nice for illustrators especially. It's very lovely. There's just so many options to customize your layout and to work with your process. Like, it is a very awesome program and I very highly recommend it. I did have someone ask me, this is a very silly question, are dinosaurs awesome sauce? And I guess that goes back into my favorite animals question a little bit. Yeah, I think they are. Dinosaurs are pretty cool. It's a very diverse group of reptiles that we got there, and I'm very glad that we still have birds. It's so cool that birds are still around. Theropods are so cool. And even though pterosaurs aren't dinosaurs, I do miss them. They were really cool. If you aren't aware, like, pterosaurs were like some of the most efficient flyers that have ever lived on planet Earth. They just could get up off the ground in like one wing flap, and that was so cool. And it's weird that they used to be everywhere, and now they're gone. It's so weird. I miss pterosaurs a lot. They're not dinosaurs, but I do love them. And I love ancient animals. They're so cool. Like, the more you follow this channel, the more you'll see that. I love invertebrates especially, but dinosaurs are awesome. There are so many cool creatures. They're just awesome. I'm so glad we still have birds. Because you can really see, like, their influence. Like, you can see the dinosaur still in them, especially like in the way they behave and the way they walk around. Especially like waterfowl, I feel like water dwelling birds really wear their dinosaur heritage very clearly in just the way that they behave and they are. Like, you ever watch a goose walk around? That is a dinosaur. You know, it's awesome. It's so cool that they're still around. So yes, I suppose I would say that dinosaurs are awesome sauce. What is my favorite color is another question I got, and man, that is very hard for me to say. I mean, obviously the Mothman that I use for everything, Zothman, it's blue. But I also really like pink, and I really like teal, and honestly, this is gonna be a crazy thing to say. I don't think there's a single color I really have grown to like pretty much every color. And I think it's not that I have favorite colors singular per se, as much as I have favorite color combinations. Like, I love lighting situations that use blue and pink, you know, the bisexual lighting, that is always so fun. I love, like, yellow and blue lighting a lot. There's so many good color palettes, and you can see which ones are my favorites, even just, like, browsing through the thumbnails on my channel, you can kind of see that there's definitely palettes that I keep coming back to once in a while. I really love the combination of, like, the Neapolitan color palette of, like, white, brown, and pink. That's awesome, especially when the white's like a nice off-white, like a cream color. That is a wonderful color palette, and I love working with it, so I've got to do another Neapolitan-themed speed paint at some point. But yeah, I guess to answer your question, my favorite color, the short answer is blue, but the long answer is, ask me on a different day, and I'll have different answers all the time, and I generally like color palettes more than I like individual colors on their own. But usually blue is the one that I'll go with if I'm selecting a character in something, if I'm selecting a game piece in Clue, like, I'm going to be Ms. Peacock because she's the dark blue one. That's generally the vibe with me. Someone asked me if I had to choose to erase one Pokemon from reality forever, what would it be? And that is a very challenging question for someone like me because, frankly, I actually like all of the Pokemon. I feel like there are so few Pokemon fans who are like this, but I do like all of them. They're all so compelling, even like the unpopular ones. Like, I've even actually learned to love Jinx. I guess if I had to erase one, I guess Jinx would be it because of, you know, the blackface of it all. But I do like the purple design that it has nowadays, and there's something about Jinx in the way that I look at it that has made me, it's really grown on me. It's the fact that it doesn't have feet. So Jinx is kind of a slug. And when I think of Jinx as a slug that looks like it's dressed up like a drag queen, that's actually so funny to me that it makes me really like it. Like, look at that creature. That is a mollusk, for sure. Right? Like, I know it's called the human shape Pokemon, but it's just a shape. I think it's a slug. I think Jinx is a slug. So I guess if I had to erase one, I guess, like, because of the way Jinx is, I wish I could not erase it, but I wish I could redo it so it was purple from the beginning, or maybe had more sluggy features, because, man, seeing it with my headcanon, I love thinking about the fact that that thing is a slug. And it's so funny. It's like the world's most... It's a slug that's serving, you know? So, yeah, but anyway, I don't really have any Pokemon I dislike. It's a very funny thing. I feel like most Pokemon fans have, like, a lot that they don't like, but honestly, I do love all of them. As a kid, I used to have some that I didn't like, but, like, for example, when I was, like, 10, I didn't like the elemental monkeys from Black and White. But then I used a Simipour on my team in Pokemon X, and then I started liking them because I was like, well, now I've got an attachment. And, like, it really opened my eyes to the fact that there is something to love about all of them. And I think that was, like, a very fun, healthy approach to, like, I mean, things in general, right? Like, I think I have that approach for animals, too. Like, I don't really have any animals I dislike. Not even things like ticks or mosquitoes or leeches or anything. Like, I really do like all animals because... just like Pokemon, like, I think every animal has someone that's their favorite animal. So that's kind of the mindset. I think Pokemon really taught me that there is something to love about everything, and that's why it's very a challenging question to decide to erase one, because I truly do like all of them, and really all I would do is just, like, retcon Jinx a little bit, which, I mean, the Pokemon Company already has made a lot of effort to do, so I'm glad they went in that direction. Someone asked me a, quote, very important question. What is my favorite pizza topping? Actually, this is one of the few things where I think I just have a singular answer and a singular favorite, and it's pepperoni. It's really the only pizza topping that I'm like, oh yeah, when I get it. I'll put up with other toppings on pizza, like, it's fine. But pepperoni is definitely my favorite. I feel like it's a very boring answer, but, you know, that's just how I am. I'm someone with food allergies who is also a picky eater, so my life is very strange. It's just full of dietary restrictions, both voluntary and involuntary. So my pizza experience is very limited just because of, I guess my scope of my dietary needs is very limited. So, yeah, boring answer, but I would say pepperoni is probably my favorite pizza topping. I had someone ask, what are my art goals, if any? Well, I guess that's a good question. It depends on how you define art goal, I suppose. I think as far as art as my career, my goal is to get to a point where I can be self-sustaining with just my art alone. I would love to be able to reach that. Another plug to my Ko-fi page, by the way, if you want to help me, like, reach that goal and try to make my art sustainable so I can do that as my main job. That's something I really want to do. I really want to be able to, like, have the freedom to do anything. Honestly, ideally, I want to be in a situation where I'm like, this is such a silly fantasy, but I would love to be, like, sponsored by a mysterious benefactor who just says, go ahead and do what you want, and I'll give you money. That's what I ideally want to happen, but that's probably not gonna happen in real life, so I gotta really work my ass off and do lots and lots of art. So in order to make that happen, I've been doing stuff like making merch, I've been obviously doing speed paints here on YouTube, I've been making all sorts of stuff, really just sticking my thumb in so many gosh dang pies, and it's been a lot of fun. I've been doing so many different things, and the fact that, like, freelance illustration is great for me because I never get bored. I never do the same thing all the time. It's always something different. It's always something, like, I don't know, it's very enriching, I suppose, to be able to do everything. And perhaps it's the late diagnosed ADHD in me, but it's really nice to not have to do the same thing all the time. And I love having the option to, like, pursue, like, any avenue of illustration at any moment, because any of it could be something that helps me with my self-employment, which I think is really cool. As far as actual art process goals, that is another good question. I mean, One of my big goals for this year is to have drawn every Pokemon that's going to be in the NJ region project, which if you've been following the channel for a while, you know that's my Pokemon region project that I've been working on. Literally, actually, since 2021, but I've only had it, like, public and posting about it since the beginning of this year. And my big goal is to make sure I have renders for everything in that, because it really shows that I can commit to a project long-term and make just a very large amount of deliverables at steady deadlines. I really want to be able to prove to myself that I can do that, which I know I can, I just need proof. And it'll also be a very nice portfolio piece, and I'm just excited to share all the ideas I have and make them actually presentable to the public so other people can also enjoy them. As far as, like, actually being able to draw something, not just goals of trying to do X number of thing or something. I guess it's hard for me to choose. I feel like I'm at a point in my art journey where I don't necessarily have an objective in mind when it comes to how I want to change or improve how I draw. I'm at a point where I'm just kind of naturally letting things grow. So I try to expose myself to a lot of different media in order to, like, widen my visual library. So if you're someone who is a visual artist, especially, honestly, any artist, whether you're a writer or an illustrator or anything, like, there are fewer things that are better for you and your brain and your ability to do art than to have varied and strange and weird enriching experiences in your real life. Obviously, like, it's a little hard to do some of those things right now because, oh boy, things are crazy as far as having money to do activities goes. But there's plenty of things you can do for free, like literally just walking a different path home, or hanging out with different people, going to free events, whether they be hosted by, like, your local library or some other, like, group around in your area. Exposing yourself to, like, different experiences, whether that be through media or through activities you do in real life, that is something that expands the scope of your visual library and your frame of reference, and it gives you more stuff to work with in your actual art. So something that I am always trying to do is trying to learn more things, trying to engage with more things, trying to, like, play more games, read more books, like, do more things like that. Like, exposing myself to all sorts of different art is what ultimately feeds my ability to make art that grows and changes with me in my life. So I guess it's kind of like a bonsai tree, I guess is a good way of thinking about it. Like, it's growing and I'm monitoring it as it goes, and it's a very meditative process. Like, I don't have a goal in mind for, like, what my art style is gonna look like even, like, a year from now. But my goal is to have fun working on it and to make stuff that is interesting to me, and maybe, if I'm lucky, to people who follow me as well. And yeah, that's basically where I'm at with my goals. I'm very much at a point in my art process where I'm just kind of letting things happen and always trying to make sure I'm freshening up my visual library with new stuff and having new, fresh experiences, so that way I always have something new and interesting to pull from. Another question I got on my Instagram page was for tips in starting your own YouTube channel for whether you're doing art or really anything else. And that's actually a great question, and also one that I feel a little bit underqualified to answer. I definitely consider my channel to be a small channel, but I suppose I have been posting weekly fairly consistently for over a year, so I guess I do have a good amount of experience, even if I don't have the largest audience in the world at the moment. But generally, they were looking for advice on courage and finding the confidence to be able to post. And honestly, I got to a point where I was just like, I was sick of not posting, if that makes sense. Like, I was like, I have lots of ideas in my head, and I need to get them out there, or I'm going to explode. Another good thing to help make it easier is to practice public speaking skills. I know that's, like, one of the most daunting things someone can tell you to do. But I think, like, doing my job where I literally am doing presentations for the public about, like, animal education all the time gives me lots of experience talking for minutes and minutes and even hours on end about whatever happens to be interesting to me, and being able to improvise and things like that. Like, I very rarely have actual scripts for my videos. I usually just have a list of bullet points that I want to hit, and then I just go. And that's how I treat my presentations when I go out and do, like, things like classes or education presentations, like, at my job. But it's also a good way to approach, like, voiceover for a YouTube channel if you are wanting to do voiceover, which I highly recommend doing. I think it's, like, very fun to do, to actually sit down and think, like, what was I thinking when I was doing this process? And it also gives people the chance to, like, get to know your personality and get to see your vibe and, you know, get to see if they like you. Because I think, like, you don't have to obviously, like, expose your privacy and everything. Like, I think there is very much, like, a selling the self as a brand culture that's very unhealthy going on right now. But I think there is some element of goodness that can come from that. Like, just selling, not really selling, I guess just, like, sharing your personality, because no matter what you work on, who you are is what you bring to every project. So being, like, just earnestly yourself, whether you are someone who likes to make people laugh, or you like to ramble, or you're very serious, like, bringing on that vibe to any project you do, and just being true to yourself, like, as sappy as that sounds, it will make your life so much easier and make it easy to build a following that will stay with you no matter what you do, because they're not following you necessarily just for the things you're making, but they're following you because it's you. Because no one else is you. So that's the thing that I would say, like, try to build up, like, confidence. Like, try to tell yourself, like, no one else can do what I'm going to do, because I'm the only one who can do it. You gotta tell yourself that. So even if you're going into a space that maybe, I don't know, maybe it's oversaturated, or maybe there's a lot of other people doing similar stuff, they're not you, though. They're them. So you gotta do it, because you're the only one who can make the stuff that you can make. And you gotta really just let yourself be there. You can't just make a persona. I think you really gotta let it, like, just, you don't have to put, like, your whole soul out there. You don't have to sell your soul to the devil to be able to get followers on, like, YouTube or something. But I think, like, being, like, not fake, I think is the way to put it. Like, just being earnest and talking honestly about, like, whatever it is you care about, putting your personality out there. Don't put on a customer service voice for YouTube. I think that is a mistake that will just cause you to only become more exhausted if you decide to make YouTube stuff. I really think you should just let yourself say what you want to say, the way you want to say it, in a very conversational, natural tone, if you can help it. Even if you gotta hype yourself up and build up a little bit at first, and then become natural later, like, I don't know, I think it's going to be the most sustainable way to create videos on YouTube, I would say, and to be able to create things that you share on the internet in general. If you do it from a place of earnestness, and more of a place of, I made this thing and so let's post it, rather than, like, I sure hope this thing succeeds when you put it out. Like, obviously it's nice to have the validation to see the numbers go up or whatever if you're on social media. Like, it's great if, like, a video blows up. But also you have to enter with the mindset of, like, I'm making it to make it and not to post it, if that makes sense. You have to, like, really start enjoying the process of making videos, recording the voiceover, and doing your art that you're doing, like, anything that you're working on. It's the idea that you're enjoying the process of making it more than you're getting out of the validation of it being seen. Which, of course, like, it's good. It's nice to be seen when your stuff is made. It's nice for people to actually acknowledge it, but the way to find courage and the way to find motivation to keep coming back to a project like a YouTube channel or, like, any social media page that you do, it really is about just falling in love with the process of actually making the media that you're making, and that will sustain you and be healthy for you when you continue doing it, and it'll allow you to actually feel motivated to do it consistently, and that will hopefully allow you to succeed down the line. That's a very long answer, but basically, I guess, like, practice public speaking, try to make sure you are enjoying the process, and try to be true to yourself, and don't force yourself to do, like, a customer service voice or any kind of, like, I guess, retail persona. Don't bring a fake version of yourself to what you're doing, because that's going to be exhausting for you. So just try to have fun. I think that's the best thing I can do, is, like, if you're nervous, distract yourself by having fun, because, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I think other people really enjoy seeing others have fun doing stuff. And if you're someone who only watches people who are miserable, I truly do not understand you. But yeah, let yourself enjoy yourself, let yourself have fun, and get excited about the things you care about in the way that you care about it. and people who are like-minded will eventually stumble upon you, and hopefully that will give you the push you need to keep going. And yeah, just good luck if you're someone who's trying to start a channel as well. I know I'm not like the biggest channel to be giving advice about it right now, but I really think just like making it fun to do the work is the best thing that you can do for something like YouTubing or anything else similar. I've also got another question. Do I have any artists that I look up to? So, man, there is a very, very long list of artists that I like of different mediums. Okay, first one to come to mind is Louis Zong. This is the guy who I use all his music in basically all of my videos. Go check out Louis Zong if you haven't heard of him already. He's awesome. He used to be a storyboarder for Cartoon Network. That's where I first discovered him, but he also does wonderful Blender art. He does wonderful illustrations. He does wonderful music. He's a really good guy who does a lot of multimedia stuff. Very cool. There's also Devonelle Kurtz, whose brushes I use for basically everything. Her illustrations are incredible and very awesome. I recently took a class by Philip Sue, who is a New Zealand illustrator, who has this wonderful landscape class that I did that was very cool and fun to take. It was very fun and educational just to see the way he structured the class. It gave me a lot of ideas for how I want to structure my own classes in the future. That's another great artist. Honestly, if you want to see the kind of artists and art that I like, I highly recommend taking a look at my inspiration blog on Tumblr. It's Spider Gets Inspired with hyphens in between. And this is one of my biggest tips for an artist, is to save things that are cool or inspiring to you so you can look at them later. I know some people who would actually save images and like sort them in folders like on their computer, but I was a little too lazy to do that. So what I have is instead a Tumblr blog that then has different tags for different things. So I have things tagged like, this is for character ideas, this is for background ideas, this is stuff from this media franchise, this is stuff that gives me outfit ideas, this is stuff that's art reference or brushes or anything like that. So that's one of the ways I'm able to store and look back on anything I find inspirational. Like, even if I forget the username of someone whose art I really like, I can just go back into this archive and go look and find them again, and then I'll be like, oh yes! That stuff really works well. Instagram has a great saving posts feature that can be really good for that. Whenever I'm on Instagram, I try to use that as a way to store inspiration and stuff like that. I can't possibly talk about all the artists I like right here. I feel like it would have to be its own video if I go over every artist that I find inspirational. But man, I highly recommend, like, even if you just have something like a Tumblr blog or just a folder on your computer where you save images, I highly recommend compiling images or media or other art that you find inspiring and keeping it in one place, so if you're ever stuck for ideas, you can just look at it and help recharge your brain to get you inspired to do stuff again. And I especially recommend sorting it with like tags or something like that, so like if you are looking for something for a landscape, you can look at that. If you're looking something for music, you can look at that. Like, I highly recommend doing this, and I highly recommend, like, on social media, like, following other artists that you like trying to go out there and find that. Like, I very rarely see posts about news, like, on my social media, because I mostly follow, like, artists, and except for Instagram, where I mostly follow zoos, which I just love looking at creatures. But anyway, oh my god, there's a lot of artists that I like. I can't think of all of them off the top of my head, because I don't know all of them by name off the top of my head, but there's a lot of artists and pieces of art and media that I think is very cool, that has definitely influenced my art. It is probably completely countless. I'll probably have to do a video on my inspirations another time, because I think I'll actually have to sit down and write a script about it. But the long and short is that there's a lot of artists that I find very inspiring, some of which are very popular, some of which are not. And I think that's part of the fun, is like trying to gather inspirations from different sources. And I highly recommend keeping like an archive of things that you like and find inspirational, because it will make it so much easier for you to actually do art and be motivated to do art later, at least in my experience. And I've also seen if I have any advice for new content creators. I've already talked a little bit about how to like be brave enough to start doing a YouTube channel and stuff. But like I said, I think the biggest thing is sustainability in your process. Like, I think I mean, some channels are very successful at, like, getting really good videos out when they only post, like, once a year or something, or they just post in the most erratic schedule ever, which props to them for being successful despite that. But I think for me, I feel like I'm doing my best when I'm making lots of stuff. I am a very prolific artist. I make lots of pieces in very rapid succession, so for me, a very sustainable process for me is to make one video a week, every Friday, which obviously you're watching right now. So that is how I'm able to help. Like, I think YouTube's algorithm favors people who post consistently, so it's good to, like, post, like, at a set interval, whether that be every week, every 2 weeks, every month, like, something like that is probably good. But honestly, it's very hard to recommend any advice for getting out of invisibility online. I still feel like I'm fairly unpopular online, like, at the time of recording, like, I am in awe because I feel I've doubled the amount of subscribers I've had, and that's, like, actually crazy to me. That is actually insane. Where did all of you people come from? Yeah, that's something that has happened in the past, like, 2 weeks, though. Like, most of you showed up very, very recently, and that's just because I happened to get lucky and mentioned Silksong in a recent video, I'm pretty sure. And I just happened to have the right people stumble upon the video I was making. So I guess my advice for getting out of the phase of invisibility online is just, like, posting stuff that you like. Don't chase trends, just post stuff that you like and you know you can sustainably make on a consistent schedule, no matter how frequent it is. I think consistency matters more. And luck is a major part of it, but I think eventually, if you are consistent enough, the right people will find you, and hopefully not just spread through the algorithm, but hopefully word of mouth as well. Like, a lot of the small YouTube channels that I like, I have recommended to my friends just straight up by word of mouth. Like, one of my favorite YouTube channels that has gotten very popular recently is Cam Sandwich. He's a board game reviewer, and I feel like I first started watching him when it was, like, not very popular, but man, there's a lot of people who follow that channel now, and I remember just recommending it to my friends, so I recommend, like, recommending other smaller creators to your friends. Like, I don't know, I feel like it's good karma, right? To encourage word of mouth spreading of other smaller creators. I feel like eventually that kind of attitude and positive attitude towards your peers eventually comes to help you, I think, at least. I think just being consistent is really the biggest thing, and getting lucky is the second. I think that's probably all the questions that I can answer today. I think that's everything that people have asked me. If I missed your question, I'm so sorry. I tried to hit everybody. Hopefully I answered your questions. Hopefully you know more a little bit about my process, the way I think about art, the way that I do it. And I hope you guys enjoyed the nice cloud time lapses in the background. I have no idea how fast or slow they're going to be, but there's a good amount of them. They're all from my different wallpaper packs recently, so I hope you guys enjoyed this nice little Q&A. If you're interested in hearing me yap a little bit more and you want to learn more about color theory, I've got great news for you. I'm hosting a color theory class called Color Club Understanding Theory with my family's business, the Leaping Fae. And that's going to be on Zoom, so it's a remote class. Anyone can join no matter where you are in the world. The class is on September 26th at 7 p.m. EST. I am very excited to be teaching it because it's the very first class that we're hosting as a business. I'm just so stoked. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you're someone who struggles with choosing colors, if color theory is challenging or daunting to you, or you just want to learn more about how color works or the way that I think about it in my process, I highly recommend joining us for the class because I think it'd be a fun way to talk about color with other artists and learn something along the way. And thank you, by the way, to my Ko-fi members on my Ko-fi page. They're scrolling by right now. If you want to be part of this little credit scroll here at the end, you can support me monthly on Ko-fi, or you could check out things like my shop, or my commissions, or pretty much anything. I've got a lot of different stuff on there. Even just following me on there gets you something, because I'll be posting blog updates every once in a while as to what I'm working on. So if you want to know what kind of projects I'm working on, no matter where I am, the place to follow me would have to be Ko-fi, because I basically treat it like a newsletter. And thanks again to my Ko-fi supporters, who help make this channel possible and make my art more sustainable. And with that, that is everything that I've got for you guys today. So thank you all so much for watching. Thanks again for subscribing to the channel. Thank you all, everybody, for joining my little community. I'm very happy to have you here, and I'm excited to make more art. I will see you guys again next week with a new video. And in the meantime, why don't you guys go out there and make some art?